And then, of course, we get post-game press conferences, and all the attention was going to be on LeBron James because, as we talked about throughout this week and even heading into the weekend, given that if the Lakers would have lost this weekend, that would have been the end of their season. But they wanted to extend it to set up that late Monday night game. But as we've been talking about for several days now, it's not crazy to think that what we watched last night might have been LeBron James' final game in a Lakers uniform. And I guess, you could throw it out there as a possibility. Maybe LeBron James' final game ever. He is 39 years old. He just completed his 21st season. And even though he did complete his 21st season in a way that is statistically overwhelmingly better than anybody else has ever done in year 21 in the NBA, he is 39 years old, and he has battled like lingering ankle stuff and this and that. And it takes a toll. And he, touched on most of that last night. There's a story at ESPN.com that posted overnight that details how even if he isn't going to retire now, we're not going to be doing this 5 years from now.
Right.
Even though he is still playing at a high level, he doesn't want to continue to do this for another 5 years. It doesn't sound like. So with all of that as the base of every conversation that's happening late last night and into today, LeBron James, I guess, might as well ask him. He's in the press conference, and he was asked, have you taken a moment to even consider that maybe this is could be your final game with the Los Angeles Lakers? Here's how that back and forth went down last night.
Tonight, was there any thought at all that, this could have been your last game with the Lakers?
I'm not going to answer that. Appreciate it.
He said, I don't have an answer for you right now. There's a better way to do that. But I think he wants to do it that way. But there's a better way to do that.
I love you, King. But
this is a guy who gets asked questions nonstop
changes.
every day. And suddenly this is the one where he's like, I'm just not going to answer.
You
could ask him what his favorite Rocky movie is, and he'd have an answer for you. He might be making it up in real time, but he'd have an answer for you. But then suddenly, have you thought for a second about how this might be your last game in a Lakers uniform? And he smiled and he said, I'm not going to answer that. Do you think he's thought about it for a second? I guarantee he has.
Oh, of course he's thought about it. I think that we see this every year. And listen, I'm a King fan. Like, don't ever get it twisted. Okay?
He covered for you last night.
That's right. He sure did. And I thank him for it. He does this every playoffs.
Yes.
When they get eliminated, he wants to remain in the story a little bit. And so this always happens where they get eliminated and it's a, press conference where it's kind of everything's up in the air. He doesn't really give you the answers you're looking for. And so then you get weeks of LeBron speculation on top of the NBA playoffs. This is how it goes.
Yeah, and this is one where some of it is drama queen stuff. I get it.
But it's L.A., man. It's Hollywood, dude.
I do think some of it is he needs to maintain as much leverage as he can throughout this entire process.
For sure.
If he's trying to accomplish what it appears he might be trying to accomplish, which, let's just take him at his word. What has he told you his dream is? He's told you his dream is to play with his son.
Play with his son, yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
You see the reports overnight from Shams Charania?
Mm-hmm.
The Lakers are open to drafting Bronny James if it is something that would make LeBron James more willing than he otherwise might be to remain in Los Angeles. That's where we're headed.
Dude, if I'm the Lakers, and who knows where he got that from, but if I'm them, I would not have given that to Shams, because now if I'm another team in the league and I know where this is going and I want to do some manipulation, I'm taking Bronny. Like if he's there in the second round and I can just throw if I think it's going to be a throwaway and I'm just going to risk it because it might leave open this potential that LeBron would come play for our team, I might do it.
I get there's some truth to that. I guess if I were a Lakers front office member, to the extent that I'd be concerned about this report being out is like it just makes us look like amateur hour on some level. Like, oh, God, they're really going to do this? They're really going to take LeBron James' not that great son to make the king happy? Like, this is really where we're at in the year 2024? That's why I wouldn't want it out there. In terms of, well, now everybody knows you might do it, I would assume if Shams or Woj or any other reporter can get close enough to that to report this is what they are seriously considering doing, then the other organizations already know they're seriously considering doing it. These agents all talk to every organization. All these people know each other. you might have saw yesterday there was a comment from Stephen A. Smith, and he did one of those things that I guess you can do on TV and on radio and podcast. I mean, I'm sure I've done it myself. It's not the type of thing you do in print too often, but he just sort of threw it out there, like prefaced it by saying, I ain't talked to Devin Booker in a while, and I don't know what, and I'm sure he'll deny it, but like everything I'm hearing is he really wants to get out of Phoenix and go to New York.
Yeah.
And then immediately, you know what, like 3 other people with NBA ties were like, yeah, I've heard the same thing. So it's one of those deals where if Shams is hearing LeBron really would like the Lakers to draft Bronny and they're willing to do it, other people have heard that as well. So I don't know that that's where we're going, but it certainly seems like we are moving, I think, in a direction where I would put it more likely than not, he's just going to be back in LA, and it'll probably be with his son alongside him, or at least possibly with his son alongside him. Because if you start listening to what some of the basketball insiders are saying, and there was a big story, Dave McMenamin at ESPN.com that posted overnight, just all of the sourcing on it. There's 2 things that come out of, like, I'll be honest, I fell asleep last night very early. I woke up in the middle of the night, watched the end of that game. So I didn't see it live. But I woke up, watched it. I know everything that happened. I'm reading about it. And all of the sourcing that's come out after Denver eliminated the Lakers late last night seems to suggest this. Darvin Ham is done.
Oh, for sure. He's gone.
It's over for him. And the Lakers are not convinced they're actually as far away as you might think or others might think. You know what the Lakers are saying? We went 23-10 in the final 33 games of our regular season. That was the 5th best record in the NBA over that span. This season, LeBron played more games than normal, and Anthony Davis definitely played more games than normal, but Gabe Vincent only played 11 games. Jared Vanderbilt played 29. Christian Wood only played 50. So is it obvious that the Lakers, as currently constructed, aren't good enough to beat Denver? Of course. They're like 1-12 against them in the past 13, right?
Right.
But here's the thought process that seems to be coming out of that front office. Do you really blow up a LeBron James-led team because you can't beat the Denver Nuggets? Because if everybody holds themselves to that standard, like we're just the team that got eliminated by them each of the past 2 years. So it's like you're not good enough. But we were in the Western Conference Finals last year, and then they beat us, and then they won the title. And this year, we were competitive in games with them, but they did beat us in 5 games. So the series wasn't competitive, but the games largely were. But if you start as an NBA franchise, this is what they're saying in LA, I'm telling you. If you start as an NBA franchise saying we can't beat the Nuggets, so it's time to do something dramatically different, well, then who's not blowing up their team? The Celtics, maybe?
Right.
Who? Maybe the Timberwolves, because we'll see. But who? Like maybe the Thunder, because we're growing into it. But how many teams, if you asked them right now, are you good enough to beat the Nuggets? Can honestly say, yeah, I think so. 2?
Probably so.
The Celtics.
I mean, I'm sure Minnesota thinks they.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
They were competitive
I was
with
going to
them.
say it's Boston and Minnesota.
Yeah.
Who else can honestly? I'm sure Oklahoma City would say it,
but
whether it's true or not, I don't know.
They don't want that.
But I'm sure they would say it. So how many teams can honestly answer that question?
I think it's Boston and Minnesota right now. Yeah.
So this is what they're going to end up doing in LA. I bet you. They're going to say, we aren't close to Denver, but we think we are close to everybody else and better than most everybody else. And we can tinker around the edges. Tell LeBron, we'll draft your kid, but you got to go start recruiting.
The Gary Parrish Show, live weekdays at 10 a.m.